Hello, my name is Jacob Margolis, and I will be taking you on an eco-tour. Throughout this eco-tour, we will look at many different animals and organisms that help to make up this ecosystem. We'll also be looking at the environment and the habitat of which these animals live in. On this eco-tour, I will present a question, a biological question. I solved this biological question by using the scientific method. Well, first, the question. Is there a correlation between the amount of vegetation and fauna observed in the area? Then I came up with my hypothesis. The larger amount of vegetation in the area, then the larger amount of fauna will be observed, rather than if the area is devoid of grass and trees. And then for my experiment, I studied two separate locations for a week. One was lush with plants, the other not so much. It was more treeless and dirt. After watching closely for a week, the green, lush area had many more animal sightings. This proved my hypothesis correct. The higher amount of vegetation, the more primary consumers will be present. Primary consumers will feed on the primary producers, and the primary consumers will be fed on by secondary, tertiary, and quaternary consumers. And the more there were, the more opportunities for food for animals higher up the food chain. And then the reason why I came up with a hypothesis and thought that there would be more animals in an area with higher vegetation is because if many more squirrels, birds, deer, rabbits, fox are found in the wooded and grassy area, then there's going to be opportunity for food and there's going to be life and it's going to be bustling. But in an area devoid of grass, it doesn't have any food to start with, so it won't attract anything. And more in depth, the way I answered the question was by setting up an experiment. I designated two different locations, very different locations. Location one was lush and had plentiful vegetation. The other was mostly dirt and treeless, as I said before. After a week, I came out and I studied the grounds and the surrounding areas for clues. I had even left out a camera for the past week to take a video of the proceedings of both areas. And by analyzing the footprints and the bite marks out of plants, I came to the conclusion that the area with more vegetation had a significant amount more of animal sightings and evidence of animal activity than the area with less vegetation. And I came up with the question because in my backyard it's very grassy and we have a lot of trees, and we often see a lot of animals. If I wake up in the morning, I can see a deer, maybe we've seen a black bear a couple of times, we have tons of squirrels, so that just made me think of the question. The bald eagle is believed to have evolved from reptiles between 144 and 66 million years ago. The evolution started to appear during the Mesozoic era. The bald eagle shares many similarities with an early group of birds called the kites. The kites, as well as the bald eagle, are thought to have scavenged and hunted fish. The kites are the next step up from the reptiles on the evolution history or the chain of the bald eagle. And about 36 million years ago, the first eagles descended from kites. Bald eagles have many extraordinary adaptations that are important to their ability to hunt fish effectively. Eagles have spicules, or projections, on the bottom of their feet. This helps them to grasp tightly around their captured prey and ensure they don't get away or slip out. Another adaptation of the bald eagle is the serrations on the roof of its mouth. This helps to hold on to slippery, squirmy, and wet fish. So it's very important, once they've expended all of that energy to catch their prey, they had to be able to finish it off. The bald eagle has a very uniform color. The back is usually a blackish brown, and the head, neck, tail are usually white. And then the yellow feet and bill are also trademarks. Juvenile bald eagles are a mixture of brown and white. They reach full maturity in 4 to 5 years. The size of a female bald eagle is 35 to 37 inches, slightly larger than the male. The wingspan ranges from 72 to 90 inches, and they can fly at an altitude of 10,000 feet. During level flight, they can achieve speeds of about 30 to 35 miles per hour. Bald eagles can weigh from anywhere to 10 to 14 pounds as an adult, and they're light because the bones of the bald eagles are actually hollow. Bald eagles, interestingly, have 7,000 feathers, and they can live in the wild as long as 30 years. They are at the top of the food chain and have very few, if any, predators. And they can lift about 4 pounds. Their diet mainly consists of fish, but they can also eat smaller mammals such as rodents and squirrels, stuff like that, if they need to. And all eagles are renowned for their excellent eyesight. And they build their nests in large trees near rivers or coasts. And they can reach a sexual maturity at around 4 to 5 years old. Black bears are very interesting creatures. They can grow 2 to 3 feet at the shoulders. They can be 4 to 7 feet long from nose to the tip of the tail. Males can weigh an average of 150 to 300 pounds. Females are smaller. Exceptionally large males can even grow to weigh 500 to 600 pounds. And the average lifespan of the black bear is around 10 years, though black bears can live upwards of 30 years in the wild, and they can live even longer in captivity. Black bears are also very good climbers because of their non-retractable claws. This helps them escape from other predators, a few predators that they have, such as humans who hunt them. They have many observable traits and traits that we can't see that have been passed through genetics and other adaptations that help them survive through the wilderness and still remain such a dominant creature. I chose to talk about an observable trait about the black bear. I chose to talk about the coat color. All black bears are not in fact black. They can be black, tan, cinnamon, white, gray, bluish gray, blonde, and even cream. The reason they were called black bears at first is because when the settlers came, they only saw bears east of the Mississippi, and predominantly the bears east of the Mississippi are black. So as when you go further out west, they still are usually black, but they can have many different colors. They can even change color as well, but not like huge color change. This happens during the youth stage. The dominant trait for black bear color is obviously the black coat. The white color coat is recessive, and the gene for a bluish-gray color is very rare and recessive as well. The genotype for the white coat is a single nucleotide replacement in the melanocortin-1 receptor gene, or MCR1. The phenotype for a white coat is the coat color, with white. The white coat color gives the bear a distinct advantage over the black color coat black bear. The advantage is the ability to fish better. The white coat is especially effective in the daytime, since salmon don't find white objects from under the water harmful and they are less concerned. Researchers found out that white bears have a success rate of 1/3 in catching salmon in the day, and black bears have a success rate of 1/4. There's also one more distinct advantage to the white color. The people of British Columbia find the white color bear to be sacred and will not hunt them. The people call them spirit bears. These two can be major reasons as to why the white bear has not died out, or that the white color gene has not phased out of the gene pool. Even though black bears are shown to have a slight advantage in camouflage in the woods. As you can see, it's another black bear. The population of the black bear can be affected by many abiotic and biotic factors in Connecticut as well as around the country, because black bears go all the way south to Mexico and all the way north to Canada and into Canada as well. An abiotic factor that can affect the black bear is the environment. Black bears prefer to live in the forest, areas with a thick understory and vegetation, because even though that they're called carnivores or omnivores, they are actually 80% of their diet is vegetation, such as berries, nuts, vegetation. This is because they tend to be lazier creatures and get the easier catch, so they can reserve more energy. But if they're hungry enough, they can use their 30-mile-per-hour speed to chase down things such as a deer. They also like forest lands with swamps, streams, and rock ledges. This gives them a more aquatic, semi-aquatic animals that they can eat too, and semi-aquatic plants that they can eat. The thing that's likely responsible for the uptick in population of the black bear in Connecticut is the reforestation efforts since the mid to late 1800s, when they were almost extinct. If necessary, where the forests are gone, black bears may eat out of garbage cans for food, but this could also hurt them. Earlier times in Connecticut, a lot of forests were cut down, and more industry and manufacturing were put here. And then later, we now have a reforestation effort, and this has led to the rise of black bears. Some biotic factors that can affect the black bear population are the amount of vegetation available. As I said before, 80% of their diet is herbivore. In addition, the black bear will also consume small mammals, deer, and livestock. Deer populations have been on the rise in Connecticut, leading to more food opportunities for the black bear. The sampling technique I used to estimate the population was the sightings in the past 9 months. After analyzing data from the CT environmental website, I found out there were 1,476 sightings in the past 9 months. After factoring possible resightings, such as if you're in such a small area like a certain town, you're likely to see more than one of the same thing. Also, in Avon, there were over 100 sightings in the past 9 months. After factoring all of this, I came up with the estimate of between 400 and 500 bears in the state, or at least 20 in Avon. For the nutrient cycling, I chose to do the carbon cycle. The habitat in Avon is predominantly composed of wooded areas, or basically a forest. So, doing the carbon cycle, I would base it off of a forest area. The plants conduct photosynthesis to create energy for themselves, also taking carbon dioxide during the process. The primary consumers, such as rabbits and squirrels, will then eat these plants and then take along the carbon dioxide and other nutrients. Then these animals will be eaten by secondary, tertiary, and quaternary consumers, and the nutrients will be passed along. When any of these consumers breathe, CO2 will be released into the air through respiration. And when they have to go to the bathroom or relieve themselves, they will release waste. This waste will be decomposed by things such as the dung fly, and also carbon can be released back into the atmosphere, and other nutrients can be released back into the ground. The consumers can also die while withholding the nutrients. Their bodies will be decomposed naturally through decomposers such as the blowfly and maggots. This way, the nutrients left over after the decomposers have had their way and they leave a simple organic matter will again seep into the soil, or carbon can release into the atmosphere. Lastly, carbon can be cycled through the environment by tree leaves. The leaves can perform photosynthesis and suck in the CO2 during the process. Then, through deforestation, when trees are cut down or burned, the carbon dioxide can be released in very large numbers back into the air. As you can see, this is an emerald ash borer. It's an introduced or invasive species in Connecticut. The emerald ash borer has been sighting in 15 towns and 4 counties. The sightings started during the week of July 16, 2012, the first time it's ever been seen in the state. The emerald ash borer attacks ash trees, and there is now a quarantine in Connecticut on hardwood firewood, yard waste, ash logs, and ash nursery stock. This is important so it can keep the infection from traveling to other parts of the state or to other states. The emerald ash borer is a small green beetle. It is part of the Buprestids, or the metallic wood-boring beetles family. The beetle lives for 1 or 2 years and completes a metamorphosis, starting as an egg and finishing as an adult. The emerald ash borer starts as an egg for about 21 to 25 days. The egg is very small, only 1 millimeter by 0.6 to 1 millimeter. The next stage takes 7 to 10 days and evolves into a larva. The larva is creamy white and is 26 to 32 millimeters long. The next stage is the longest. It takes 301 to 315 days. It is the pupa stage, where it is 10 to 14 millimeters long and creamy white. Lastly, it takes about 28 days for the pupa to become an adult. The adult is usually 7.5 to 13.5 millimeters long and have elongated bodies with a metallic emerald green color, hence the name. As you can see throughout the stages, the emerald ash borer usually gets smaller, besides when it's in the egg form. The emerald ash borer feeds solely on ash trees, specifically the folium, cambium, and the leaves. The emerald ash borer does not eat the mountain ash tree because it is not actually ash. Very confusing because of the name. So it does not attract the emerald ash borer. All major North American ash tree species have been killed by the emerald ash borer, and the emerald ash borer will infect trees ranging from sapling to fully grown. The emerald ash borer, they are especially devastating since they kill healthy trees. Most borers kill only weakened trees. And the emerald ash borer is originally a native of Asia and eastern Russia. An endangered species in Connecticut, as you can see on the screen or in front of you, is the bog turtle. The bog turtle, or Glyptimus muhlenbergii, is a semi-aquatic turtle and was first found in the 18th century Pennsylvania. The bog turtle weighs 110 grams on average as an adult. The bog turtle can reach a maximum length of 4.5 inches as an adult. The bog turtle has a bright yellow or orange blotch on each side of its head and neck. This is its most distinctive feature. The body color is dark with an orange-red wash on the inside of the legs. The upper body, or carapace, is domed and somewhat rectangular, with prominent rings on the shell plates. The lower shell is hingeless, with a cream and black blotches pattern. The bog turtle spends the majority of its time buried in mud during the winter and hibernating. The bog turtle is an omnivore and feeds on small invertebrates as well as some vegetation. The sexual maturity of the turtle is often reached at 8 or 11 years old, and the bog turtle can live for over 30 years. The bog turtle is often found in Connecticut, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Massachusetts, and sometimes even Delaware. The bog turtle likes, obviously, aquatic environments. And if the bog turtle would become extinct, the ecodiversity around aquatic environments would be very, very harmfully affected. This is my food web that I made. The food web starts off at the bottom with the primary producers. These are things that obviously grow in the ground. They provide food for the primary consumers. The primary producers are ragweed, grass, and lay fern. There are many more, but these are the three that I picked. Next up are the cottontail rabbit, the rat, and the squirrel. These are the primary consumers who obviously eat the primary producers. These are at the bottom of the food chain, and they have a ton of predators and are never safe. The cottontail rabbit has a very large population in Connecticut. It is known to eat ragweed. The rat is a very opportunistic eater. It will eat almost anything it sees, and this includes grass. And the squirrel is also an opportunistic eater, and it eats nuts and vegetation such as the lady fern. Continuing up, I have the secondary consumers. These are in the middle of the food chain. They have fewer predators, and they're very feared by the lower ones. The first is the red fox. The red fox is a known predator of the cottontail rabbit. Next is the copperhead snake. The copperhead snake eats rats. If you've ever had a pet snake, I think you have to feed it rodents. And then the red-shouldered hawk eats squirrels. It dives down and catches them with its very sharp, curved beak and its very sharp feet. Next up, these are the people that are at the top. They're the tertiary and quaternary consumers, the barred owl and the bald eagle. In fact, the red-shouldered hawk is a prey of both the bald eagle and the barred owl because they're both smaller and the larger birds can attack them. And the bald eagle is this bird of America, the national animal of America, and it's endangered. The copperhead snake has a predator, the barred owl, which also is known to attack it and try to eat it. The red fox does not have any predators on this list. Then you get to move to the decomposers. This is where the fungi, woodlice, and dung flies come in. When the other animals remove their waste, the dung fly in particular will help decompose it and break it down. Also, when any of these animals dies, the fungi, the woodlice, and dung flies break that down, decompose it as well. Not that they decompose it, they break it down into very simple organic matter, and then it goes back into the soil. So this is the food web.